Welcome to Something New is Possible, the podcast that is all about achieving success, freedom, happiness, and resilience. What if the only thing standing between you and what you really wanted was you? In Something New is Possible, we're breaking down the barriers in your brain and building the life you always wanted to have. I'm your host, Dr. Barbara, a dual certified executive and life coach, as well as a doctor of spiritual science. And each week, we'll explore cutting-edge strategies rooted in neuroscience to transform your thinking, teach you techniques that will neutralize your triggers, and supercharge your actions to revolutionize your results. Let's dive in. Hi, welcome everybody. Today I'm here with Sharleen Hertz. Did I say that right? Is that how you say
You said it right. Yeah, it's Hertz. It's actually German. So
yes, it's a lovely last name, and I hope you really enjoy the meaning of it and the way people greet you and meet you. Probably, no?
I actually love it. It's the only amusing thing was I'm a dentist by training.
Oh wow!
And when we got married, I didn't take my husband's name because in the States, when you introduce yourself and you say Dr. Hertz, the dentist, it didn't work so well. But I was very happy to move to Israel, and then I could, go by my married name, which I happen to love. When you think about it, it means heart.
Yes, it means heart.
And that's really what I'm all about. It's just being out there with the people and having them show up. So
awesome. So let me formally introduce you, if I may, and I'm going to read this. First impressions are key. At Princeton University, study states that you have a tenth of a second for someone to decide who you are and how they will consequently relate to you and influence how you relate to yourself. I love people. My kids will tell you that I like everyone. So that makes me perhaps a bad judge of character. I counter that by saying I think people are great. It just might take a little effort to see it. I have always worked with people between dentistry and coaching, from youth at risk to adults who are searching for what's next in their lives. My core belief is that everyone has a unique gift to give to this world. So let's get you out there sharing yours. My job is to get you to show your value without saying a word. Welcome, and thank you for being here today. So we met, I don't even know exactly when, but somehow I think through a networking group, probably a few years back. And I was always really inspired by the way that you present yourself and the way you just put yourself out there, regardless of what people might think of you. You just have that way about you where you just go, hey, here I am, take it or leave it. And it's very inspiring. So
thank you.
Tell us a little bit more about that part of you and
what
happened to be so out there.
I have to go a little bit far back. I was a shy kid.
Okay.
I was actually painfully shy. And I can't tell you the moment that it happened, but there was a moment where I said enough. Conversation. It was just enough. This is who I am. People either take me the way I am or they won't. And I can't do anything about that except always put my best foot forward. And it was like a switch. It was like, and it happened later than I would have liked, probably in my mid-30s. And once that flipped, I was like, what a gift this would be if we could give this to kids. Because I do. Everyone you meet's got something special.
That's true.
Everyone. And we have it. I hate to use the word beaten out of us because that's not what it is. But we take to heart every criticism that we hear in our lives, and we make ourselves smaller and smaller and smaller. It's like you could be doing your best and 15 people will tell you what an amazing talk you just gave. And one person will give you a little bit of criticism and you walk away with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's, I stopped listening to it. I'm like, "Okay, you're entitled to your opinion," and I move on. And it's perpetual work. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I've come to the point with it's when I walk out of the house, when anybody, it's like when when you're going to an event and you walk out of the house and know you look your best and you catch yourself in the mirror on your way out, and then you walk out like this. So sometimes it's a matter of I will put myself together knowing that this makes me feel good. And if I feel good about me, then I can be out there with everybody else without having any doubts in my head. And it could be going to the gym. It doesn't need to be, I don't need to be going to an event. I don't need to be going to a wedding, but it's wearing your favorite color. It's the little blue in my hair. It's like I'm all of I do these little things for me to make it easier for me to be out there with you.
That's awesome. It reminds me that 30 years ago, when I started to learn how to facilitate for a international company, I had this suit on that my aunt had given me from Germany, and I hadn't really facilitated, but I looked smashing. And she said to me in the bathroom, "You know what, Barbara? 60, 70% is the way that you look. It's the uniform that you put on, and you can hide behind it. You can feel great, and it just really helps you do the job that you want to do." And it was hard for me because I was a rebel and I really used to dress not so, you know, so in line with what people expected of me. And I learned that it was a choice. I could do it or I couldn't do it, and that we could use it in order to support ourselves and what we want to accomplish. And you know,
Exactly.
I also wanted to talk about the comments that you made about negative feedback. And when we look at neuroscience, we know that we're 90 to 95% automatic behavior. And I was just saying to a coaching client this morning that the notion to think that we're going to wake up one day and we're not going to have some negative rhetoric, some judgment, either about ourselves, the way we look, the way we talk, the way
Mhm.
the way that we behave, the way we feel, that's going to be, or other people or circumstance, situations, preferences, that's going to disappear. It's just not realistic. So what we can do, we need to find ways to deal with it. And sometimes it's what you said, is to ignore it. Sometimes is to put the pause button on it. And sometimes is to step up the loving or to neutralize it. And sometimes is to do the deeper work. And so that we have all kinds of tools and techniques that helps us to go back into that neutral state, into that harmonious state. Because when we're there, we know that everything, our faculties, our creativity, our loving, our kindness, our ideas, everything is going to be so much stronger. So
Yeah.
that is going to be the intro to talk a little bit more about how to get unstuck, how to inspire us. We both live in Israel. We don't need to get into the details here, but it's a constant struggle just I think sometimes to get up in the morning and just to, want to like have a
Absolutely. To
positive outlook.
find the motivation to be in life instead of look at all the horror around us.
Exactly. But that is something that we're experiencing, and other people might have their own way of experiencing a lot of trauma and disaster. So this is really meant for everybody. And with that, I'm going to ask you my first question. And you can be as personal as you would like. Personal is always good because I think that really helps us to make it real. I'd like you to talk about a time when you felt really stuck and tell us how you got out of it. How did you overcome it? What were your strategies? Who helped you? And anything that you want to share with us about that.
I'm on my second husband, and I joke around that, the first one was a practice run. Um, but I met this guy, I was 30, 31 years old. I grew up in a religious community, this was old already to be getting married. I wasn't
Yeah.
really Orthodox at the time, but, there was always that I want my kids growing up in an Orthodox home, time's a ticking. I had my practice, I had my, my my business life, my outside world was set. Now it was time to move inwards, and I met this guy who was lovely and we danced together. We met at singles weekend and he really wooed me. So he was lovely. He was a school teacher, but he used to come to my house and read me poetry. He used to bring me flowers. We made dinners. It was really lovely. So we decided to get married. All is hunky dory. I'm like, I have one non-negotiable. Our our kids are going to go to a yeshiva day school. For me, that was important, even if I wasn't living the life at the time. It was very important for me to bring up my kids religious. And he was like, well, I don't even know if I want kids, but if we have kids, okay. Getting on the plane to our honeymoon, he's like, well, our kids are going to go to this particular school,
Okay.
not naming names, not a religious day school.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this was like my one non-negotiable. It's like the one thing that was, so that was our first argument. And we had this great vacation. We went to the Canadian Rockies. I recommend it, the ice fields, most beautiful country I've ever seen. You know, you have the turquoise glacier lakes, and we had a wonderful trip. And I kind of put it on the back burner, but it was always there simmering. And then, you know, we had all these little things that I don't think would have bothered. Well, same thing my current husband does, and they don't really bother me. It's like little arguments, but it was like building and building. And then 6 months after we got married, we're having this argument, and he's like, well, you know, we could always get divorced.
Oh,
And I'm like,
wow.
oh my God.
Wow.
You know, I grew up European, my parents are European. It was like, no, I'm going to work on this the best. We're going to make this work.
Right.
A year later, I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Really?
I couldn't. It was the little stupid things. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. I had a maid come in on Thursdays. I worked these crazy long hours. I would walk into the house at 8 o'clock at night, and he'd be like, oh, I meant to get fish for dinner. It's 8 o'clock at night.
Okay, where's the fish?
Where's the fish? The maid would come Thursday. I would come home Thursday afternoon. I wouldn't even know that she came. The house was a wreck.
Oh, wow.
I was just like, okay, this is a man who he just couldn't. And I was like, I had to get over it's like, you don't get divorced. We make things work.
Right.
We'll get over this. We'll figure it out. When we have kids, we can figure things out. We'll make this work too. It broke me. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Wow.
I can't. And I
Wow.
told him on my birthday that I want a divorce.
Oh my God.
And I was like, my mother was tickled by the whole thing.
That you wanted to get divorced?
Good and bad. But it was, even when you choose to get a divorce, it is such a break in being. I had gained weight a little bit of weight over the marriage, but I lost a pound a week for 3.5 months. I went from a size 8 to a size 2. It's like,
Oh,
the weight just went, and I thought I was doing the right thing. And this is, I'm not stuck. I'm getting unstuck, right? Because I'm getting out of this bad situation. It was just, I had to do it. So so we got a religious divorce right away, which was fortunate for me, because then I felt I could date. The civil divorce took longer, but it was like, that's, yeah, whatever. And I was very fortunate to have a wonderful core group of friends. I had people I could count on. I had people who had my back. I couldn't really talk to my mother about it, unfortunately, because she had no clue. My mother was married to one man. She slept with one man her entire life. My father died. She went into early menopause. It was one of those. But she was there for me when I needed her, religious, not religious. She didn't care, as long, I had a tremendous support system. And then, this was August. In November, I meet this wonderful man.
ooh.
It was like God had set me up. It's like, okay, you got your religious divorce. You did whatever you did. This is the time. And it was like in a Greek diner on a Saturday afternoon. It was like one of those weird sort of, I'm sitting at a table with a bunch of friends after coming from a sample sale. He's coming in from this course. And I'm just watching these people, because it must have been like 40 of them coming in. So I'm laughing at all these people coming in, and we made eye contact and we smiled. And then he goes to his table, and he announces they were in a leadership training course. So they had a dinner assignment, and they
Okay.
had to work on what are called operative practices. So an operative practice, for people who don't know, is a certain way of being to get to change how you interact with people. It's like you introduce. He said, my operative practice is flirting. I'm going over to that table. I'm talking to those girls.
Love it. That's awesome.
It was just like, it was like a fairy tale. So he comes over to the table, this is our first conversation. Before he even says his name, he's like, hi. And we have this, like, we're at this point, we have three women at the table. We're all like size 2s. And we have this big death by chocolate dessert sitting in front of us, and we can't finish it. And he comes over and he says hello. And the first conversation goes like this. It's like, hi, my name is David. I'm like, hi, are you Jewish? At this point, after I'm not sure what school our kids are going to. I was one of the things on the table, even for a date. He's like, well, that depends. How Jewish are you? My response was, both my parents are Jewish. He's like, well, then I'm not Jewish. His father was Jewish, his mother was not.
Oh, wow.
And then he sat down and he joined us at the table. He finished our dessert. He went back to his table. As we were leaving, my friend gives him my business card. And he sends me a postcard. Okay, this is 1995. Who sends postcards in 1995? He sends me this postcard. It just was, and inviting me to an artist opening that he wasn't sure he was going to be at. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to wait another month to see you. And we ended up going to, it was just it's like a series of unfortunate events, but everything followed through. We ended up going to a multi-level marketing meeting. I invited him to a multi-level marketing meeting because I was searching for things at the time. And we went, he's like, I'll come, but I won't listen. And we went out for dinner, and on our way out of the restaurant, the waiter stops us and says, if you guys aren't related, you make a really cute couple. And that was it. And then he gave me, that was November. I was at his house meeting his family for Thanksgiving already. And he gave me a course called the Landmark Forum.
Oh, yeah. I know the Landmark
For a Hanukkah
Forum.
present. For a Hanukkah present. And
Nice.
for me, it couldn't have happened. It couldn't have come at a better time.
So you did the
It
Landmark.
was 3 days sitting with my stuff.
Yeah.
And I had David, who I married now. We're married 27 years, almost.
Congratulations.
We have 4 beautiful boys. We live in Israel. Well, I live in Israel. He's actually moved back, so we travel back and forth between the 2 countries. And I got the tools. And I was fortunate. I got tools to see where I was getting in my own way and what I needed to do to move forward. And so we met in November. We got engaged in April. He hadn't converted yet. My mother was like, you are not welcome in my home. And I was like, I wasn't willing to stand for that. 2 weeks later, I was there for Shabbat. He ended up going through it took us a while to get married because he did end up converting Orthodox.
Oh, wow.
Not that it was so important for me at the time, because I was Jewish. I knew my kids were Jewish, but
Right.
because I wanted my kids to grow up in a religious environment,
Right.
I asked him. I didn't say it's not dependent upon. And I think that is the secret sauce. You don't have to do it. It's if you want to do it, and you don't have to do it for me. You need to do it for you.
Right.
And I took that into how I interact with people in my life. It's like, I don't expect anything. Any relationship is 100-0. I will give everything. Whatever I get back is a gift.
That's beautiful.
And that's how I can come into a room. It's like, here I am. This is what I am. This is who I am. Take me or don't. And that's fine. Whatever I get back is a gift.
I heard there that, and you didn't really stress that, but you asked for what you wanted. And if there was that response, yes, I want it because I want it for myself, then it's a beautiful gift. But it is important that we ask. and that we put out there what it is that
Absolutely,
we
because you don't
would
get
like.
anything without asking. Because
Right.
how is somebody supposed to know that you want or need something if you don't let them know?
Right, because we're not mind readers, and even though the romantic stories in the Hollywood movies tell us that we should be mind readers and that we should pick up people's energies, in the end, it's important that we ask them, that we tell them what we want, and that then you have that beautiful attitude of, oh, I'm letting it go. So if I get something wonderful, if I don't, then okay, then I have to deal with that. But at least I put it out there.
Yeah, and it's not a reflection on me if I don't get it. That's the
Yeah,
whole thing.
it's not a
It's
reflection for me.
it's not a reflection on me. I put it out there. But if I don't put it out there, it's almost like asking the universe.
You're asking the
People
universe.
talk about manifesting. How do you manifest? You put your requests out there.
You
But
put
if
your
you
request
can't
out there.
say it, if you can't put it down on a piece of paper, if you can't verbalize it, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Who inspires you?
Golda Meir, Jordan
Uh,
Peterson of
what
that for
about
two. Um,
Golden?
People who look at life and are not inwardly driven. People who look at the world and look to see how they can make it a better place.
Mm,
Who stand for something bigger than themselves. And I would like to think that everybody does, but people are myself included, we get very stuck in this is my house and this is my job and this is my family, and we don't get past that. And then we don't get to share who we are with the world.
yeah, it's true. And I think, trauma has a lot to do with it.
It shuts you down.
Yeah. We want to protect, so I look at that and, I have two little kids, and I was telling friends today that my 3.5-year-old was asking me the other day if I know what to do when the sirens go off, and I know this generation that, they're going to be, they're already traumatized.
Yeah.
And then it's our job to help them heal and help ourselves, and so that we can continue to inspire and to think outside of ourselves, because when we're traumatized, usually we have this tendency to to protect and to do all those things that don't help the community grow and develop.
The people who really inspire me are our soldiers.
Mm.
My son turned to me at way, way back in the beginning. He's like, Ema, I'm fighting so that you can live your everyday life without having to worry. And we have a generation of kids here, 18, 19, 20-year-olds who we thought were so stuck on social media and what's best for them and, taking pictures of their meal to post. And they stepped up.
Mm.
They stepped up and they went to war. And so I go to you want to know what really inspires me? People in the service industries, firemen, policemen,
Mm.
people who look at the world as bigger than in Hebrew there's an expression dalet amot. I don't know how to, they're my little square.
Mm.
Their circle is not this. It's not me and family, it's community. And I find that incredibly inspiring.
It's inspiring. I agree with you. It's inspiring, and I have to say, it comes with a lot of sadness too. So, as I watch that, there's I can be inspired, but I'm also sad to watch it. What else do I want to ask you? Do you have a strategy? And you talked a little bit about that. A strategy that you use often that helps you to get unstuck. Because we talked about just a few minutes ago that as human beings, we always get stuck. Like it's ludicrous to think
Yeah.
that we're not stuck. I've been stuck already 3 times today. In little tiny ways.
Little tiny ways. I think when I'm most unstuck, this would be the best way of putting that, is when I actually do when I write, even for a minute or two, and it could be on my computer, it could be on my phone, gratitude exercise.
Yeah.
To sit down at the end of the day when I'm like, I didn't get anything done today. And then I write down everything I did during the day. I'm like, wow, I got a lot done. And I used to do this when my kids were little, and I'm sorry that I stopped, but we used to sit down before they went to bed, and I would have each of them acknowledge the other for something they did and ask for what they want to be acknowledged.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it is, my husband and I do that still. We'll get on the phone. It's like, for what do you want to be acknowledged today?
Oh, beautiful.
And that it just, it's like, it kind of, it makes you think outside yourself, and it makes you really appreciate who you are at the same time. So I think for me, and I push people to do it too as much as I can, because I see what it has done for my family and for my kids.
And there's science that goes behind it, because every time that we do that, the opportunity for the neuroplasticity in the brain to change increases exponentially. We
See,
have the
I just
yeah,
know it feels good.
yeah, it does. But it's like, so when we talk about we're 95% automatic, 90 to 95% automatic behaviors. So if we want
Yeah.
to change that, then the part of the brain that changes that is to create new neuroplasticity. And so when you do exercises like that, what do we want to be acknowledged for? Then the neuroplasticity goes, oh, okay, there's something new coming. Years ago, they thought the DNA is constant, but then they did some research, and I can't quote exactly if it was Harvard or where it happened, but they found that 50% of the DNA that we have changes all the time. And so
That
then,
much?
yeah, and then the whole theory
Wow.
about, I need to look this up to speak intelligently about it. But that's what I remember about 50%. But even if it's only 25%, if 25% our DNA changes all the time, then the whole theory, if we can't change and change is hard, goes out the window, because obviously there's part of us that does, turn over all the time. So neuroscience is catching up with what we have already known for years, and what Aristotle and Plato and all those people wrote about, have been writing about for thousands of years, and we can find it everywhere,
Yeah.
which is awesome. So that's a wonderful exercise. I also ask my clients to do that, to sit down with their families and, be in the hot seat and have them bombard them with positive qualities of what they see in each other and how they can appreciate each other. But I like this, what that you asked, give the opportunity to ask, what would you like to be acknowledged for?
It's, and I'm sorry I stopped doing it with my kids, but, they get older and they don't wanna, deal with their mother, and everybody no one wants to sit down at the same time at night. So we try to do it at the Shabbos table, like, Friday nights, we'll try to get it done if everybody's home. Journaling is amazingly helpful. Even if it's something stupid that you're writing down, it's just to take the time to, I hate the term mindfulness because it has gotten so abused and overused lately, but spending time just to be present to who you are and what you've accomplished over the course of the day really can, it's like, "Oh, I'm stuck," and then you keep on writing about it, and then like, "Oh, all of a sudden I'm not stuck."
Mm. How do you deal with your emotions? How do they stop you? How do they push you forward? Like, how do you manage them?
How do I manage my emotions? Good, that's a good question. Mostly, I mean, it's gonna sound bad. I run away from them. I go to help somebody else. Not
How,
run away, but I'm like, I will go do something for someone else. I will volunteer I will go to my neighbor and see if she needs help with the kids if I'm overwhelmed. I tend to, and it's not like I don't deal with my emotions. Every Saturday in shul here, they read the names of the hostages,
mm, mm,
and I cry every time.
mm,
But by being in a group, it's like I'm not alone in this.
mhm,
Doesn't make it less sad, but it's a shared emotion is more easily dealt with.
But there's other people that are feeling something maybe similar to you.
It's like, so I could walk over and I could be hugging someone who's,
Right.
it's like we're sharing it together. It doesn't go away, but it makes it easier to deal with. It makes it not, I want to say subclinical, but that's not what it is. It's just, you put it out there in the universe and then it's not weighing on you.
And you feel
And
it, is what I hear you
you
start
you
saying.
allow yourself to feel it, and then, okay, I give myself. Tony Robbins has a wonderful thing. He's what he calls a 90-second rule. It's like if you're
Mm,
angry or upset about something, let yourself feel it and then you move on.
that's right.
We need to acknowledge that these feelings are there, but we don't need to let them run our lives.
Right. And one of the ways that we can do it is by either using the Tony Robbins 90-second rule, or we call it in coaching, going down the tube and hitting the bottom and coming back up,
Hmm.
from CTI, or, writing about it, or screaming, going in the woods, or having a temper tantrum. But I think that's important. And even if you need to do it 5 times a day, because there's so much stuff going on right now, it's important,
Yeah,
because then they will show
but
up in
not
other
not to
ways.
bury it. The worst thing you can do is bury it because that will
No,
affect your sleep. It affects how you relate to others. It affects your functionality.
right. But you said also, that sometimes you distract yourself. You go and take that. Maybe sometimes we're not ready to deal with it, and then we can think about, what do I want to do? Do I want to have a drink? Do I want to watch TV? And maybe that's my best option at the moment. I don't want to judge it.
Read a book. Read a
You
book.
know,
Play a game on.
read a
Play a
book,
game
or
on my
play
phone.
a video game, or I go help the neighbor.
Yeah.
I remember years ago when my dog died. I had just kind of gotten a divorce, and it wasn't even my dog, and I had to put the dog down. It was terrible, and
Ooh,
I
terrible.
it was horrible, and I had never experienced anything like that. I was so emotional in a way that I hadn't been, like, emotional in that way. And all I did was 48 hours, I think. For 48 hours straight, I painted my entire house.
No, there you
And
go.
yeah, that's
That's
the way.
useful.
Yeah. So, I have developed a productive way of dealing with my difficult emotions, and sometimes, I have to do the opposite, rest a little bit more, because I do too much. So, but it's good for us to take some time and figure out what's a good way for us to deal with our emotions, and what is a productive way, and what is a helpful way. And so that when it happens all the time, that we actually have some tools to deal with our emotions.
Exercise. Dance.
Exercise.
I dance every day. I try to
Do
find
you?
time to dance every single day, even
Oh,
if it's
yeah.
just for 5 minutes. I'll find something on YouTube. I'll learn a new dance or I'll do something I've done before. And it just,
So,
I think that's my biggest outlet since I was tiny.
so if I come to your house, I can find you maybe doing a cha-cha or something.
Oh, cha-cha, I like salsa. Actually,
You like
salsa's
salsa?
I've, but I've done hip hop. I think there are very few styles of dance I haven't tried just because music with movement is just so freeing.
It's
But don't
true.
ask me to sing because I can't. I
Mm.
can't carry a tune.
So you talked a little bit about, going to help your neighbor. I want to also take a moment to talk about, giving back and social responsibility. Like, how does that show up for you in your life?
Wow. Well, first of all, I live in I want to say a hilltop community. I live in a small community on the southern part of the Galil, and there are a lot of young families. Um, and my kids are just starting to get married. So I don't have grandkids, but I see all these little kids, and now it's like I'm at the point where I'm ready to take care of other people's babies.
Oh, wow.
So I will go if I hear my next door neighbor's kid crying, I'll go over and I'll hold the baby for her for a little bit.
Hmm.
Um,
That's nice.
I do. I work one day a week. I've cut back on a lot of my dentistry. One day a week, I work in a youth village with disadvantaged youth, with youth at risk.
Oh, wow.
Um, I don't volunteer. They do pay me something, but it is to provide these kids with an adult who will actually listen to them. It's not it's not doing the filling. It's the having somebody who doesn't judge really gives them just to provide that space for them is, I really feel it. That's what I call it my calling. It's like when I stopped doing dentistry everywhere else, I wouldn't give that up because I
Mm,
made a difference.
mm.
And it's not because I make the difference, but because of the difference I make there.
Right. Right. You're just a tool, the vessel.
Yeah. One day a week I go down to Rehovot. I spent a full day traveling back and forth to Rehovot to take care of my 96-year-old mother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. The woman is amazing. She lives with my sister, so my sister is really kudos to her. But to have that is an honor.
That's awesome. That's
I
beautiful.
don't know if that's so much giving back to the community, but that's giving back to my community.
Yeah, your community, right? Taking care of your mom. She took care of you, and now you get to take care of her.
Yeah, and her favorite saying is like, one mother can take care of 10 kids, but 10 kids can't take care of one mother.
Why there's 10 of you?
No, there's 3 of us, but she likes to say it. She likes to,
She likes
yeah,
to. Okay, got
that's how
it.
she likes to say things. Um, but it's yeah, to see the generations is amazing because my sister has 33 grandkids. So I
Oh
get to
my.
see, you have my mother and my sister and her kids and you see the 4 generations together. It's amazing.
Yeah. So let's talk about coaching for a moment. You work
Um,
with, you help people, with their lives. You help them with looking good, or maybe it's the same in some
it's
ways.
I'm a bit I think, what we see in the mirror reflects how we feel about ourselves. And I like to when I start coaching, I start in the person's closet.
Mm,
Really
okay.
do it. I start with it. I start with a closet cleanse. We spend the day in your closet. I see what you're keeping and what you're not keeping. And we talk about all sorts of things why is this here and why is it, it's like an ease into coaching without people feeling that I'm being really intrusive about their lives, but I'm being very, very intrusive.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Absolutely. You're very inclusive about their lives, Looking in the closet. It's like, where's that? Everything, you
Where's
know?
that? Why do you have so much of that color? How come you're keeping onto this? It's a conversation, but I think we wear 20% of our wardrobe is really what it boils down to. So why are we keeping the other 80%? It's just baggage. Baggage. The dress you wore to your sister's when you were bridesmaid at your sister's wedding, is it a good memory? Is it a bad memory? Take a picture of it, get rid of it. Um, the process of making things clear and easy and simple.
Yeah.
I love that.
How can people get in touch with you?
So I have, we'll put my website in the program notes. I am
Mhm.
available. You can reach me on my website, which is charlenecoaches.com.
Okay.
There are multiple links on that site for a free consultation. I would love to have a chit chat with you and see with you and with you, because this was lovely, actually, Barbara. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Um, See what you're all about and where you want to go and what makes you happy and what makes you tick and
Awesome.
how we
So,
can make it easy and simple and intuitive.
yes. So you'll have that information in the program notes, and I encourage you. I had a style coach when I lived in the United States, and I found it extremely helpful when I wanted to get more into, a different field. And it was hard, but it was liberating at the same time, and I learned so much about myself. Actually, two people helped me with it.
It's a process. It's a process. And sometimes it's a little confronting.
Yeah, it is what it is, and it's a journey. Like all the coaching processes are a journey. You work with this. My approach is more about the unconscious and the subconscious, and putting new tracks down, and everything has value and merit and comes at the right time.
Exactly.
So we're about finished for today, and I want to thank you for coming on. And I want to
Oh,
ask you
my
if you,
pleasure.
I'm really
I
happy
love the
that you
fact that we're wearing the same color. That was
know
not
blue.
planned.
It was not planned. Do you have a favorite quote or a quote that you would like to share?
Favorite quote? I have so many of them. Jim Rohn
Okay.
is, I call him the coach's coach. He was Tony Robbins' coach way back when. It's not so much a quote as a tool. It's like when something's really difficult or something's really frustrating, it's like, just look at it and say, isn't that interesting?
Mm,
And it just puts a different spin on it.
mm,
And I think as I find that the ability to do that in the moment makes anything possible.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was really, really, really fun.
Awesome. Peace and love to everybody all over the universe.
Yeah. Because, we could use a lot more of that.
Everywhere, no matter where you are. We are accepting everybody, race, creed, color, circumstance, situation, preference. Our love goes out to everybody. Goodbye for now.
Bye for now.
Hi, and here are the takeaways from the podcast interview with Sharleen Hertz. Number 1, practice daily gratitude. Take time each day to acknowledge your accomplishments and things you're grateful for. This helps shift your perspective and boost positivity. Number 2, implement the 90-second rule. When facing difficult emotions, allow yourself to fully feel them for 90 seconds. Then consciously move on. This helps process emotions without letting them overwhelm you. Number 3, ask for what you want. Be clear about your needs and desires, rather than expecting others to intuit them. This improves communication, increases the likelihood of getting what you need. Number 4, contribute to your community. Find ways to help others, whether through volunteering, assisting neighbors, or supporting family. This provides a sense of purpose and connection. Number 5, declutter your life. Start with a closet cleanse to remove unused items. This physical decluttering can lead to mental clarity and emotional freedom. Number 6, shift your perspective. When facing challenges, try saying, "Isn't that interesting?" This simple phrase can help you approach difficulties with curiosity rather than frustration. Number 7, prioritize self-care. Make time for activities that bring you joy and help process emotions, such as dance, exercise, or creative hobbies. This supports overall well-being and resilience. These are the takeaways from my interview with Sharleen. Try them out and see what happens. Until the next time, take care. All right, action takers, as we wrap up today's episode, I want you to know that I believe in you. Each of you has the power to create positive change in your life, no matter where you're starting from. Remember, it's okay to take small steps. Every bit of progress counts. And the sooner you can take action, the better, because your saboteur loves to create doubt and confusion. If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what I'll ask of you. Like, subscribe, leave Apple and Spotify ratings and reviews, tell a friend, and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you love. Your support helps this message reach more people who might need to hear it, especially right now. I'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode to support you on your journey. Until then, this is Dr. Barbara reminding you that you're worthy of an extraordinary life. Be kind to yourself as you work towards your goals, and remember, I am rooting for you every step of the way.